Hello boys, welcome. This is the tuning guide for ASUS ROG Strix G15 Advantage Edition by yours truly. So I will be telling you how to extract a lot of performance out of that damn thing without overvolting and just having a overall reasonable power signature. Just I would not be just remember that I won't be responsible if you do overvolt and stuff. I will try to keep the tuning in a safe zone, and I will try to explain as much as I can while so as to give you a baseline understanding to tune according to your own preferences. If you want to research, it's pretty neat that because desktop terminologies apply here. So you can look up desktop Ryzen terminologies and they'll be almost the same. Some of you I know probably just got the laptop, so you want to first go over what RAM you got. You can do this by using the Timings application and seeing what the TRFC value is as well as what's the rank of the RAM. You can ask in the Discord server. There's pretty good people there. Join it. According to my knowledge, there's like three types of RAMs shipped with the G15 Advantage. That being the Samsung single rank X16 RAM. There's a single rank X16 from Micron and a single rank X8 from Micron. The single rank X8 memory is what's good. Alternatively, you can just buy faster memory, you know. Uh, there's some recommendation I would give are HyperX Kingston, like Fury X, and there's the Crucial Micron 16GB 3200 megahertz. That's the one I have. There's also the Samsung 3200 megahertz one, which is dual rank X8. I'll put the model numbers of these on screen. These all operate at 3200 megahertz at 1.2 volts. If you want like out of these three, I personally prefer like the Crucial one is faster at stock than HyperX one, but we will be overclocking, so I can't say much more about that. HyperX could probably is faster when you overclock. Do not get Crucial Ballistics one because even though it says it has 3600 megahertz at CL16, because you need XMP for that, and it runs at 1.35 volts. So don't do that. I almost was scammed by it. I actually had it in my system for like 10 minutes before I screamed at the shopkeeper because it was running 2666 megahertz out of the box. All right. Hopefully you got the good RAM batch. May God bless you. Uh, if you got the bad batch, I highly recommend you upgrade, but we can still salvage some performance out of it. Next thing you want to do is get a USB Type-C to DisplayPort cable. Don't get a USB Type-C to HDMI cable because the converter makes it so you can't actually use FreeSync. I have a converter, so I'm speaking from experience. Uh, Also, do not buy Thunderbolt capable docks. They will not work. You need DisplayPort alt mode cable. This is also from personal experience. Uh, I'll put a photo of what I'm using. I'll also put a like Amazon photo of what I recommend you get. Yeah, outputting your display from the USB Type-C will basically just mean you're using the dGPU directly, so giving you a performance improvement like that. Before we begin, I just want to say Silicon lottery is real, and the extent you manage to get performance out of your system depends on your luck. Uh, I'll still try to help you, but in the end, pray to RNGs. First of all, let's start by downloading the 3D Mark demo. It's completely free. You get 3 benchmarks in that: Nitride, Firestrike, and TimeSpy. Nitride is almost borderline useless, like it's very low end. We're gonna be focusing on TimeSpy because, of course, we are. Uh, we're gonna run a TimeSpy benchmark with everything set to maximum from Armory Crate, and this will be your baselines. So whatever score you get, keep a note of it. If you get anything lower than, I would say, mid 9,000s, you might want to get your machine checked out. It might have a thermal paste or LM issue because it might be overheating. Here's an image of normals, what a normal score looks like. Here's one with stock RAM. Yeah. Do also remember to do a Cinebench R23 for your baselines. Now, first things first, we're gonna downgrade your BIOS. You probably have like 318 or 320, because Windows update. Asus, fuck Asus, because 318 has way less fan speeds than 316, and 320 is basically 318, but with a even slower fan ramp up. So yeah, we're gonna stay on 316. So it's like a 10% performance loss almost. So first thing, you would open Device Manager and disable firmware from there. Disable the other thing as well, just for surety's sake. It doesn't do anything other than manage the auto update for the firmware, which is our BIOS. I've put the if you check the description, there's a Google Drive link. It will have everything you need. It's my toolbox which I created. It will have all the BIOS and all the files you need. Download that. If you go in, open it, you'll see the 316 BIOS. Put that in a pen drive and downgrade it by booting into BIOS and then using ASUS Easy Flash. Mash escape furiously to open the menu and enter the BIOS. Now we reboot into Windows. Now we go inside AMD Software. We click on default and then we reboot and then we click on overclock once again, just so that we're on the AMD overclock, not the one that came with the BIOS. It's gonna be, it probably is different, but we just want the PBO settings from the AMD software. It also increases our iGPU frequency by 200 megahertz, so that's a plus. We will be now checking if we have a decent bin on our CPU. So to do that, we're gonna go into CPU, like step 0, and go inside this folder over here, and we're gonna apply a -5 curve optimizer value onto all cores. Then we're gonna run Y-Cruncher on it. Let this thing run. It will run on each core for 10 minutes. If this passes, you have a decent bin, and you can reduce the EDC value on your CPU. And those who fail this, well, we're not gonna be reducing the EDC value. I do not have a good bin, so I do not reduce my EDC value. Otherwise, I get unstable at stock. I'm already unstable at stock. I fail at 0, so chances are you probably have a better bin than me. So once we're done with that, now we prepare a pen drive for booting into AMD FormBrowser by smokeless CPU. Extract the zip file into the pen drive and it should look like this. Now we reboot and we go into our BIOS. We go ahead and turn off secure boot and we press F10 and reboot. We're gonna boot from the pen drive by using the escape menu thing. We go into device manager, AMD overclocking, precision boost overdrive. Basically, if you pass the -5 test on all cores, we're gonna go ahead and enter 75, 70, 120, 00 auto in PBO settings for all limits. And if we did not pass, well, we're gonna use 75, 70, 127, 00 auto. 127 is the motherboard limit for EDC, and for TDC the motherboard limit is 74. We're reducing it to 70 just so that we get a little bit of thermal headroom in underloads. Also, auto is probably the best scaler compared to even times 10 because it gives me better score in times by. That's all. Also, for the people with the 5980HX, 75 watts of PPT is not enough for your CPU to get 5 gigahertz. I figured that out from some testing. So with the Pulse 200 from PVO, you won't be able to get 5 gigahertz because we don't have enough power for that at 75 watts. But our cooling system cannot support more than 75 watts in my opinion before LMRE application or if you increase mounting pressure. We're still leaving that on just in case you get amazing curve optimizer value and get a better clock with that. You can still salvage a lot of clocks, and we're gonna set this according to what our cores can achieve. Now we exit out of that and go into device manager. We go down to setup, go down to security, and we enable secure boot so that we don't have to reboot into BIOS and then we reboot again, so that we just don't have to do that much. We're gonna now reset and we're going to go into Windows. We're back in our folder. Open the part 1 CPU folder. It has a batch file named ApplyCurve. This thing is already set to -5 just in case for the people who actually pass the -5 all core, and we're gonna use this and apply curve optimizer value for each of our cores. We are using yCruncher again for our stability testing, but I have created batch files for running each core one by one so that we can test each core without having any problems. Yeah, Prime 95 was way too easy. So that's why we are using yCruncher. I passed Prime 95 on my worst core at -3. I can't even pass at stock here. So this is better for stability. So how do we do this? We start with core 0. We open the apply curve batch file and open that in Notepad. You'll see a bunch of stuff in there. We're just gonna change the value that start with the 0x. We're gonna change that with the values from the Excel file here called the lookup table. Yeah, this is the lookup table I put together so that we can do per core offset. It'll have all the curve offsets. You can do you can increase the offset by -5. So if it was -5 already, you can do a -10 and see and run Y cruncher, core cycler basically, to check if you're stable at that. If you are stable, if you pass the 4 iterations, you can go ahead and increase it to -15. We do this until we get a crash or we get an error. So for example, we managed to get to -25, but our system crashes or we get an error. Now we're gonna try to reduce this by +2. So it's gonna be, so for example, it was -25. We're gonna try doing -23. If it failed, if it crashed, we're gonna do a -4, because crashing means you're a bit further away, like you're more out there in terms of instability. You're more in the unstable zone. So we're gonna reel it in more, and we're gonna keep doing this until we are stable and we pass this test. Yeah, so we complete this. When we pass this, we're gonna go up by 1, and until we fail again, then we're gonna go down by 1, and that's our curve optimizer value for that core. We're gonna repeat this for every single core, and that's how we do curve optimizer for each of our cores. If your cores numbering starting from 0, like 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, if they get good curve optimizer values, you can turn off CPPT, which is core performance priority order, or something along those lines, and you can potentially get a performance benefit from that, because otherwise it will be prioritizing your cores with a lower curve optimizer value. Don't set it up in task scheduler just yet, because we need to do the RAM, and an unstable curve optimizer value can just ruin RAM test because it can throw errors. Right. Next up will be, we will be tuning the RAM. The clock we are aiming for is 3600. Now 3600 mega transfers is kind of doable, but also not, depending on what RAM you have. Let me explain. If you have the good stock RAM, you should be able to easily do this. If you have third-party RAM, you should be able to do this. If you have the bad RAM, I am not sure if you are able to do this, but you can still try. Stuff you will be needing is Zentimings, TM5, testmem5. I've included it in the folder. AIDA64, I've also included that, and FormBrowser. We take a baseline of our latency and read-write speeds from AIDA64, and then and take a screenshot of our Zentimings. There's a photo button, camera button on the bottom that we can use to save our Zentimings. It would be really good if you have a way to access this stuff on mobile, because if this is your only computer, you're gonna need a mobile, because you can't do many of the things on your computer when it's in the BIOS, right? Duh. So overclocking process itself is done in 3 steps. First we just set large timings. So we like just set loose timings for all of these, and we increase DRAM frequency until signs of instability appears, and then we tighten up the timings. The RAM timings are in hexadecimal, so we need to use a hexadecimal calculator. I use this one from the Discord by Xtaddy. I'll put the link inside the folder. It'll be there. Start by rebooting into smokeless, go into AMD CBS UMC options, DDR4 common options, and go to the second one. There you'll find gear down mode, and we'll also turn down power down mode. You can skip turning power down mode, but it gives a very huge improvement in memory latency. Like I get like almost 8 to 10 nanoseconds of latency improvement when I have power down mode disabled. So I'll also have some links in the folder in case you want to know what each of the RAM things mean. But here we go. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go into DRAM timing configuration and accept. We're gonna start by setting RAM frequency and TRFC values. We're also gonna set the other values to our RAM stock. So like if you have the Crucial CL22, we're just CL22 RAM, you're just gonna set it to 22, 22, 22, and the remaining like the same essentially, but in hexadecimal. So that's why I recommended you have a mobile with you. We're gonna have the hex calculator open on mobile. Yeah, we're gonna reboot into we're gonna save this and we're gonna reboot and see if we are able to boot. If we are able to boot, we go into Windows and we run testmem5 to see if we are unstable. If we are unstable, we're gonna try to loosen the TRFC value or the cache latency by 1. Cache latency, increasing cache by 1 should probably fix it, but then we're going to cache 23, which is not ideal. Maybe try reducing, like loosening TRFC a little bit. If you have 16 gigabytes of RAM, it usually takes like 1 hour and 30 minutes to finish the testing. Or if you have 30 gigabytes like me, it takes like 2 hours and 50 minutes. It does 3 cycles by default, so that's why it takes so long. Now we set additional subtimings. We're gonna change TWTRS to 4, TWTRL to 12, TRTP to 12, TRRDS to 6, TRRDL to 6, and T4 to 24, TWR to 16 as well. These are safe timings recommended in the Discord by Xdaddy. I use these. You can change these or use a few loser timings like I did, because I don't want to do the memory testing again because it takes fucking forever. That's the RAM tuning. This is once we finish. Once you're satisfied with the subtimings, we're gonna run the RAM test 3 times. So that's like 9 hours if you have 32 gigs of RAM. You can also, for final testing, you can run Y-Cruncher for 30 minutes to be sure that your RAM OC is stable, just in case. Y-Cruncher is really good at finding instabilities like that. Now, that's all about CPU and memory tuning. I hope you tested them well, and hopefully you are stable. We shall quickly finish up the GPU. GPU isn't really hard. You're gonna open GPU Z and take a backup of your GPU BIOS and keep that safe. It's just in case you enter a weird MPT profile and your GPU just dies. You could recover it just by applying the BIOS file that you get from here. That's what happened to me once. I had a way too high curve, and it just randomly just died. It shows up as extreme power saving and armory crate when it dies. But yeah, uh, just install Morepowertool, select the 6800M, and load the MPT file I provided. It has I'll list the changes. It brings back the 2600 megahertz boost clocks, and it lets the power draw up to 165 watts, and it has a F clock at 2000. So now you're gonna go into C curve and uh, curve tab and change the C curves to something safe, like minus 0.04. Those are the value I recommend. You can it's definitely do higher. Write SPPT, and then you're gonna reboot. You're gonna open AMD Software now, and set the things from in there, like yeah, like this. Note your CPU settings will be gone after doing this when you're on the internal screen. Uh, that's why we did all the CPU things at the beginning. Now we're done. That's all there is to tuning the thing. We're just gonna open TimeSpy and run it. Bask in the glory. Yeah. Some more suggestions I have uh, to get more performance out of this thing. I would recommend optimizing Windows, but it's not that big of a deal. I normally have 200 to 215 processes at boot, so it's not that much of a deal. On a side note, like Windows 10 can get 1 to 2% better TimeSpy score sometimes, maybe, but you didn't hear it from me. If you want to buy a cooling pad just so that you can keep the damn thing cool, the IIT's GT500 is the gold standard, as you all might know. But you can also get the KLI Mistral, which is basically the same thing as the IETS GT300. It's just a little bit cheaper. I'll also include a video of my friend, this guy, doing stuff after opening the G15, like with thermal paste and increasing mounting pressure. Yeah, join the Discord if you need help. There's people there. They carried my stupid ass to where I am, to telling everyone how to tune it. I have more niche tips in case you have some problems. Please hear them out. For example, some people might have secure boot issues, like secure boot doesn't turn on anymore. Try deleting the secure boot keys, and that should fix secure boot not turning on. Speaking from personal experience, man. That's what I did. Random stutters on Windows 11. Oh God. Yeah. Just try disabling AMD PSP device from Device Manager and rebooting. If you still have stutters, try Windows 10. You still have stutters, try disabling FTPM from FormBrowser if that works. And if you still have stutters, well, call ASUS. I can't do anything at that point. Some people have stutters and their GPU clock drops to about 400 megahertz. Reduce your undervolt maybe, or check if your VRMs are overheating. Another one is Armory Crate sucks. You can't do anything about it. You just have to live with it. There are ways around it, but well, not for power management anyways, but there are ways for fan control. That's all. If you follow this guide, you should be able to get like 95% of all the performance you can get out of this machine without actually overclocking and without increasing the hardware limitation of the cooling system. We don't have thermal capacity, man. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Thanks. Bye.